came here in 1986 to run it for myself in October. I signed the papers and I was owner of the Red Barn Incorporated. People come in here for the experience, more so than I think anything else. And they love the fact that somebody's actually taking the time to listen. Find that balance between doing what you love that isn't really work, that might pay the bills, and more importantly, can resonate with people and actually to some extent help people. That's pretty rewarding. Without my customers, I would be doing what I don't love, guaranteed.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. If anybody would like an agenda, they are on the plastic sleeve out back. And before we get started, I am going to ask Councillor White to please stand and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is a proclamation for Waterville Public Library Love Day. I'm sure that's why everyone's here. I will get you the original copy after. I guess it wasn't here like it was supposed to be, so I promise we'll get it over this week to you guys. Whereas the love of libraries in Waterville, Maine dates back to a time of municipal incorporation, and whereas the Waterville Public Library has been in continuous operation since 1896 and has been an anchor for the Waterville downtown since opening its Carnegie building in 1905. And whereas the Waterville Public Library is a welcoming, safe place for every citizen at every stage of life. And whereas the Waterville Public Library offers free access to knowledge, information, and learning opportunities, allowing each citizen, if she or he chooses to acquire the skills, knowledge, and inspiration to live a happier, healthier, and more prosperous life. And whereas the Waterville Public Library, at the Waterville Public Library, residents and card holders have access to more than 6 million items in a variety of formats, and citizens connect with opportunities to participate in diverse creative programming ranging from job fairs to art shows to story times. And whereas the Waterville Public Library is an important public space in our city, providing all citizens with beautiful, uplifting space in which to learn, be inspired, and connect with other people. And whereas the Waterville Public Library is a well-used municipal resource, circulating more than 11 million items since its opening more than a century ago. And whereas the Waterville Public Library was awarded in 2017 the National Medal for Museum and Library Service, our nation's highest achievement of libraries and museums. Honoring excellence and innovation in service to communities. And whereas it is appropriate that the City of Waterville recognize the value of the service that the Waterville Public Library provides to our community and beyond. Free and open to all, now therefore I, Nick Isgro, Mayor of Waterville, Maine, do hereby declare the date of April 26, annually from this year forward, as Waterville Public Library Love Day, and in recognition thereof, I do urge our city's residents and visitors fully to enjoy and avail themselves of the many resources and opportunities offered by our public library in the heart of our city. And I don't have the original with me, but I would like, I see library staff, I see our director and board of directors here. Everyone that is here with the Waterville Public Library, could you please stand up and be recognized? Thank you so much for all that you do. Next up is Community Notes. Community Notes is a time where if anybody has something they would like to say or speak about that is not already scheduled on the agenda, now would be the time to do it. We ask that you come to the podium and state your name and tell us where you live. Because there are so many people here and because our clerk does need to take accurate minutes, And because we are thinking there could be a lot of people speaking tonight from one end of the agenda to the next, we ask that you just sign your name. If you could just print legibly your name when you come up to the podium so that we can have that there. And I am going to actually start Community Notes with just a very heartwarming thank you to this community. My family has received more support and love and embrace in the last couple of weeks than I ever thought possible. Our freezer is filled with meals that people have brought over during a stressful time. We have had prayer chains said for us, and we are being held up truly on that embrace of our community, and we are just so very thankful. I know my wife Amanda is here. She is thankful as well as our children, so thank you very much.
Go, Nikki!
And I do, on a separate note, want to offer a public condolence, if you don't mind, to Nathaniel White. Nathaniel White, Councillor White, lost his grandfather this past week, and I know Nathaniel family is very close for you. I've been over to your home and spent time with your family, and I would just like to have a brief moment of silence in recognition of that for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so now we'll move on with community notes. Like I said, come up, let us know who you are, what you have to say. Patty will have the timer. We typically allow 3 minutes. When it beeps, I will try to give you a warning. We're not going to cut you right off, but I'll just let you know that it's time to probably start moving through. First up for community notes.
My name's Gary Mayu, Ward 5. I'm here to support Nick, Amanda, and his 5 children, along with our citizens who are being attacked by well-funded dark forces of discontent trying to regain power from the taxpayers. I'm also here to support the First Amendment and to confront the evil that rejoices over a good man losing his livelihood over feigned outrage by political opponents. Last November, Nick's opponents lost on the battleground of ideas, so their venomous attacks now focus on character assassination. The council recently participated in voter suppression by ignoring the will of Ward 5 residents. Their appointed councillor places labor unions with financial interests on both sides of the city and school budget table. Our ethically challenged council claims no voter suppression occurred and there are no conflicts. They're hiding behind and supporting a corrupt city charter that was designed to protect politically established elites. Investors are not impressed with their scandalous actions. Revitalization efforts are now threatened by the council and the voices of intolerance. The council's ideologically driven agenda, where residents rate dead last, free speech is threatened, and where inclusiveness and diversity are suppressed, has been exposed. The unethical abuses of power undertaken by this council to protect departmental budgets employing their spouses and to protect the financial interests of local power brokers leaves the council with a vote of no confidence. The dark forces of discontent are launching an ideologically driven political coup of intolerance to suppress diversity, the will of the voters, and to place power back into the hands of the politically connected elites. Their feigned outrage is over Nick's comment that defended patriotic Second Amendment supporting Americans and veterans from being called child murderers. All while, these dark forces condone the bigotry and words of hate used by Councillor Lessing and DuPont, such as belligerent and slumlords, from which there were no apologies, no outrage, and no resignation requests. I'm asking Democrats and Republicans to join hands to retake our city from these hypocritical and intolerant forces where just 2 years ago they began attacking Democrats. We've got over 100 good-paying jobs coming to the Trafton Road. So it's time to end the lunacy and support Nick, his family, and the citizens of Waterville. Thank you.
Next for community notes.
Hi, I'm Amanda Isro, and I call Waterville my home. I am the wife of Nick Isro, Mayor of Waterville. I'm a graduate of Bates College, and yes, I do feel like I have to make that disclaimer to some of our Colby elitists on the council who like to make us all feel a little bit more unintelligent as them. I'm a mother of 5 children and a lover of the outdoors. I'm here tonight as a citizen of Waterville and a survivor of a witch hunt that has affected not only my husband, but my family's life as we knew it. As you can imagine, over these past 2 weeks, I've gone through many emotions as I have watched the viciousness of fellow community members and well-funded outside groups attack my husband ruthlessly with no regard for how it would affect his or our livelihood. I watched with dismay as reactions of those individuals far surpassed faux outrage over 3 words that was turned into a political weapon by people who can't win at the ballot box. I've read messages from those haters and bullies such as Karen Heck, and read articles that were no better than reading something in Us magazine. Rachel Ohm took it upon herself to cross lines from good reporting and journalism to smut, as she smeared my husband in her various articles and accosted him along with her boyfriend at last Tuesday's budget meeting. This was after they harassed his co-workers at his place of employment. I've watched as Karen Heck, someone who I will never have my young girls aspire to, take it upon herself with the same condescending way she conducted herself as mayor, start the recall process, which is normally reserved for crimes. And no, I don't mean thought crimes like Karen believes. Was it not enough to disagree with speech? No. Instead, individuals, some who are sitting here tonight, went after his personal livelihood that put food on our table, bought clothes for our children, and paid for health insurance and schooling rather than fight Nick on the battlefield of ideas. After the budget season last year, where Nick and other community members were labeled as school haters for holding the line on tax increases, and the tense campaign run where Nick experienced attacks on his children and religion, I'm not sure why I'm surprised this witch hunt happened. If we as a community are going to lynch somebody for something so trivial, then we all should look around the room and at ourselves and ask what we have done in our past that we would do differently. What skeletons do we have in our closets that deserves this much viciousness to arise in our fellow community members or broader political groups? As I look at my enemies sitting here tonight, should I dig to find something that could be used to crucify them, make them lose their jobs, hurt their loved ones? In this day where integrity and class seem to have gone by the wayside, I still believe in those principles and live by them. No, I won't expose or crucify all of you, but will urge you instead to think about your own actions in this chain of events and be truthful to yourselves and your own integrity and political posturing at this point. Again, my name is Amanda Isro, and I'm the mayor's wife. I'm a mother and an involved community member, and I am deeply saddened by the actions of those individuals who have made it their mission to attempt to destroy my husband and those he loves. You should all be ashamed of yourself.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that, but I'm going to try. First, I would like to start with a thank you. Thank you to the counselors that were tasked with making a difficult decision.
Did you just give us your name for the record?
Oh, I did, Jay, didn't I? Oh, I'm so sorry. Jay Coelho, Ward 5. I would like to thank the counselors for making their decision on who to represent in Ward 5. I understand that being a counselor is a thankless job on many a night. In my chosen profession, and such as in my personal life, I enjoy taking a logical approach to taking things apart, dissecting them, seeing how they work from the inside, see if I can improve upon them and rebuild. I am not positive who all of the King's men were, but I assure you, if you really knew me and I was there, I would have put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So although I feel confident that you followed the letter and not so much the spirit of the law and city charter in your appointment, this past week I initiated a recall petition on Councilor O'Donnell. An extreme measure for sure, one that I do not take lightly. I am well on my way to meeting the low threshold required to initiate such a process. Unfortunately, it seems as though being extreme and sensationalizing issues are the only ways to get people to pay attention in this politically charged environment that we live in. We spend more time looking for reasons to be offended and pointing the finger every time someone does or says something that may not be politically correct. I spoke with Councilor O'Donnell last week after the budget meeting to explain that my actions were not a personal attack on him or his character, and that I simply seek clarification for the process moving forward. I believe it was Councilor So who said, people need to understand the process. Well, Council, we do not, as evidenced by the outrage that occurred in this very chamber just 2 weeks ago. So today I ask you, councilors, how can we clarify the process together? How can we, the people from Ward 5 and those around the city, feel confident in our elected officials? If there are different standards each and every time there is a vacancy, how are we to feel certain that you followed a reasonable approach to make sure that every vacancy is filled in an ethical way, as to leave little doubt that personal bias, personal agendas, or political motivation was the reason for the appointment? I implore you to find a standard by which all are measured equally, not based on political affiliation or one having more democratic principles than the next, one that weighs heavily on the voice of the people you are so entrusted to represent. I don't presume to have all the answers. I'm sure, however, that together in the future, we can find a better solution than the spectacle we are currently facing. I will go forward in my recall effort, not because I don't think Mr. O'Donnell was a logical choice. I can't even say for certain I would not have made the same decision as the council. But because there is reasonable doubt in the process, I will seek to give residents of Ward 5 a voice at the ballot box sooner rather than later. A choice that many feel was stripped from them by no fault of their own. In closing, I hope that everyone in this room can look at the person sitting next to them and move on from the shenanigans. Embrace your differences, but focus on commonality. Do not let divisive rhetoric persuade you. Let us all learn from these experiences and find a better way. I know that today many of you are angry at the process. It's okay. Just remember these simple truths, that together we will right the ship, together we will prosper, and divided we will fall.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Heck. I'm a resident of Ward 6 and apparently funded by the dark forces, whoever they may be.
That's right.
All right, order.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I just would like to echo your words about divided we fall. And I would like to say to all of you that my motivation to take out the recall notice was because of my work in 1996, along with a diverse group of Waterville residents who for a weekend spent 12 hours a day thinking about how we love Waterville and what the vision for 2020 would be. That group of people included Republicans, it included Democrats, it included husbands, wives, people who go to church, people who don't go to church, people who call themselves pro-choice, people who call themselves pro-life, and it included people who had money, and it included people who did not.
All right, order, please. Let the speaker speak.
In the course of those 3 days, we debated and came up with a vision statement on which every one of us agreed. Every single word was created by that group and the group in the audience who was also invited to participate. And if you have any questions about that, I'm pretty sure that Faye Nicholson or Jim Nicholson, both Republicans, would be happy to talk to you about it because it was Faye's idea. In that vision statement, it says, we are a people who value individuality and, we respect individuality and we value diversity. We are a welcoming community. We are a prosperous community. And those words, I believe, were a reasonable vision for 2020. It makes me very sad to say that there's a lot of dissension in this town right now, and a lot of anger.
Guys, please don't interrupt me. I mean, like.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Point of order.
A lot of anger. And if you wonder about that anger, I would refer you to the Waterville Republican Party page on Facebook. I have been accused of having so much power that I could cost the mayor his job. If only that were so. It is not at all true. I had no contact with the president of Skowhegan Savings Bank, and I would encourage.
Time's up.
All right, excuse me.
I believe that if you talk to him, you will find out from the mayor. He had a decision to make on his own. It was not mine.
I actually can't talk about that, but we're
I'm
going to
sure
wrap
you
it up now.
can't, but you
Karen,
could
we're going
stop.
to wrap it up now.
No,
Yep.
nope.
Wrap it up.
No, I allowed Tom
I've
Nail
allowed you time.
to have more than 3 minutes based on his past performance as mayor, and you
All right,
well
I'm not
know
gonna-
that.
I'm not here to comment on my employment.
I'm not asking you to comment on your appointment, but I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with him losing his job. And I believe that Tom Nail got more than 3 minutes based on his past performance as mayor when there was a discussion about the.
All right, excuse me. Order.
No, Amanda, I will not.
Order.
Because if you look at the Republican Party page, you can stop that right now. You can stop that right now. No. I am not the mayor anymore.
All right, order.
You all are.
Order in the room, please. Karen, if you could finish the thought and everyone will be quiet, that's what we will do.
I would like you to understand that I am not funded by any dark forces. I am not in the employ of the Maine People's Alliance, as is reported on the Waterville Republican Party page. And I undertook this recall effort because I believe that Waterville is on the path forward and towards the light. And I do not appreciate the meanness and the dissension and the
Point of order.
Okay. Yeah, but we've gone well over the extra minute that you gave Tom Nail that I was at the meeting.
No, I gave him as much as time
No,
as
you
he
did
wanted.
not.
But I would point out.
All right,
point out
Chief,
to all of
Chief,
you,
can we get some order here? Get some order in the meeting, please.
I would point
This is
out
a-
that this is your leadership. And if you're satisfied with that, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Next up for community
Ballot
notes.
box. Ballot
And I
box,
will,
Karen.
excuse me.
Point of
Yeah.
order.
Excuse me, and I will ask the audience, please, this is their time to speak. You'll notice I will not debate with them, even if they're talking about me, because I respect that community notes is a time for people to say what they want to say, and actually the Supreme Court has ruled if we have community notes, people can say whatever they please when they come up to the podium, and so we will try to allow people to have their time here. because I believe in free speech.
Good evening, Carl Foss, Ward 4, Waterville High School class of 1999. Mr. Mayor, I am disappointed to read reports on the comments you made to Mr. Hogg and other reprehensible statements that you published on your Twitter account. You used the language of violence and the language of a bully. This was no way for a leader to talk. In comedy, there is a saying, don't punch down. You certainly punched down. First, do you think it was a good idea to say something stupid about a person who led a national boycott against a national TV host? If he could do that to a Fox News, what could he do to our city? Second, would you say that to a Waterville High School student, a Temple Academy student, a Mount Mercy student, who was in the same situation, a student who just survived a school shooting and the disappointment of not getting into the college of his choice? I fear you'd think it, but maybe not say it out loud. I don't want you to apologize for this. You've already lost your job. There's calls for you to resign and a petition to impeach you. Any apology would be insincere under the duress of your situation. Don't blame reporters or PC culture or liberal dark money. You made stupid comments and there are consequences. Instead, I ask that you find enlightenment and redeem yourself through your future words and actions. Lastly, you and I are the same age. I'd like to think we're too young to have this kind of hatred in our hearts. May there be peace with you and to the residents of the city of Waterville. Sincerely, Carl Foss.
Thank you, Carl.
Hi, I'm Hank Poirier. I'm from Ward 4. I don't have a prepared speech like the smarter folks here, but I just want to speak from the heart. I've been in this. I was in politics in the 90s, learned my lesson, got out of it. And this is really sunk to this is really sunk to a new law. This is unheard of. We're trying to define outrage. We're trying to say that one person's outrage is more important than my outrage. Because you can imagine when I walked in here, and my father, a World War II veteran, Nick's grandfather, a World War II veteran, and a Korean, somebody that fought in Korea. Can you imagine the mayor refusing to say the Pledge of Allegiance? I'm outraged. I am outraged. How do we handle that? We suck it up. We vote at the ballot box. I didn't go to her place of employment and protest up and down and get her fired. It's political. It was politics. The minute little David Hogg said the script went from school safety and school security, the minute he bashed the NRA, the minute he bashed Republicans, the minute he bashed the President of the United States, it became political. Nick has the right, as Karen Heck has the right to not say the Pledge of Allegiance, Nick has the right to say what he wants to say on Facebook. And can you imagine the outrage if we all read somebody else's Facebook page? We might be outraged. Does my outrage count less? Were we outraged when the previous presidential administration? Look, you lost the election. Your guy lost. America has spoken. Part of Civics 101 is to the victor goes the spoils. I'm pretty sure Barack Obama said that to John McCain. And part of losing is you get in line, and in 4 years you try to vote him out. You don't go to the guy's place of employment and try to sink the guy. We have come to it. This is so, I can't even get my mind around it. I'm so frustrated by it. I hate coming here. I hate it. You know, I fought with Nicky like a brother. I mean, a knockdown, drag-out fights, he'll tell you. About Colby, about everything. And you know what Nick did? Nick stood up for you. Look at how just Nathaniel tonight, he stands up for some people that really want to let you guys have it. And he stands in the way. He's the Geneva. He's the Switzerland. And he sticks up for you guys. I'm just wondering, where's all the gratitude for the TIF? Where's all the gratitude for Nick herding cats and trying to move the city forward? Keeping outrageous, short, fat little Frenchmen like me at bay. Where is the thanks? You can ask Sydney. I fight with Sydney all the time. But they stick up for us, and they stuck up for you. This is low, it's cheap, it's petty, and any outrage that you could say by those three words is absolutely ridiculous. I'm a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment. This spun out of the Second Amendment, and once Mr. Hogg went political, he became fair game. I'm Hank Poirier, and I am the NRA. Thank you.
Julian Payne, Ward 5. I had this speech on my computer, and I wrote it about an hour before the meeting, because every time I went to look at the facts and situation, I felt disgusted and sick. I stand with Isgro so the people of Waterville can preserve whatever dignity they have left. At the last council meeting, I did not feel the residents of Waterville felt equal, welcomed, or respected. Councillor Lauren Lessing twisted and manipulated the true level of support I had. The abacus she used to calculate her mathematical equations led to her to mislead and distort the truth, closing with the disrespectful comment, "No thanks to my bid for council seat." This backfired, and the residents saw this for what it was, and they were disgusted. This misleading sham illustrates the lengths council will go to. Ideologies must prevail at all costs, and if families are destroyed along the way, who cares? This is exactly what they're trying to do to our mayor and his family. Make no mistake about it. Octopuses of discontent are rampant. A mere shadow of the former councillor who sat in your seat, who actually did some good for the city. The airport being just one example. You're not even in the same league as Rosemary Winslow. I will set the record straight. I won my first election last November with 60% of the vote. 134 of the signatures collected to give the voice to residents of Ward 5, instructing the council to appoint me, were collected from only 138 homes. That is a 97% fill rate, not the grossly misleading figures touted. To denegate someone in that matter is astounding. I understand that the letters of communication from members of Ward 5 were met with equal disdain and belligerence. I would also like to thank Jay for sticking up for the residents of Ward 5 and recalling John O'Donnell. Congratulations, that was the fastest recall in the history of Waterville. I call on every resident in Ward 5 to support Jay so that O'Donnell gets his wish to sit home on Tuesdays and watch the news. And I'm sorry, Patty, if this coup actually happens in June, I call upon the People's Council to file another mayoral repeal on that date. Thank you.
Gonna get my name down before you start that timer. All right. My name is Dan Libby. I'm a 12-year resident. This is my fourth time coming to the Waterville, to a Waterville City Council meeting, and for the fourth time I'm here to speak to the council. I'm sorry I couldn't be here 2 weeks ago. Hope everybody had a happy Easter. And but the council performed quite a magic act 2 weeks ago. I wish I could have been here personally to see it. For the entire council, with the exception of one vote, to be able to turn their back on the people of this town while looking right at them. Simply amazing. To ignore the people, the same people that put them on this very council. In essence, looking down on them and spitting on them. Bravo, quite a trick. That is either the most amazing stunt I have ever heard of, or you all basically have zero moral compass. How do you look at yourselves in the mirror? Don't forget who works for whom here, councilors. Small-town councilors that make small-town decisions run a terrible risk come election time. Now, I've watched a lot of video of previous council meetings. A safe place. This is a safe place for people. I've heard that a lot, about how when people come to these meetings, they should feel safe. Isn't that right, Councilor Lessing? I'm asking you a question.
Is that like?
You don't need to.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Really sure.
You said it a lot, and it's all been recorded.
I tend not to answer
I have
questions.
to say, like, that's.
I'm scary, I'm asking you a question, yes?
She doesn't have to answer it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. May. And I'm the one who feels nervous. Now, it is very clear these meetings are not safe, because when lackeys, political hacks, and cronyism are allowed to run wild in city council meetings, nobody's safe. Nobody can feel that their best interests are being served. And when people's best interests are not being heard or served, how can people feel safe? And now there are people on this council attempting to abuse the recall rule because of differences in opinion. This is not what the rule was intended for. There is only one person now standing between our values and municipal anarchy. But let me tell you where things get even more personal for me. Roughly 14 years ago, I suffered a massive brain trauma that rendered me 100% disabled at the time and an invalid for another period of time. I couldn't speak, I was deformed, my life changed forever. I have brain damage that causes my vision to be impaired. I suffer from anxiety being in large crowds. Today I have alopecia areata, which causes random bald patches on my face and scalp. So for me to come here to speak is not easy for me. I'm here because I am passionate about an issue and I feel a need to be here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be. This is very stressful for me. So I have been told in this very room that we are neighbors. One neighbor, a council member, has decided that it's okay to draw derogatory pictures of me while I'm speaking. I am not a child, and neither are you, Councilor Lessing. This attack on me, this type of behavior is insulting,
I'm sorry, I never drew a derogatory picture.
demoralizing, and degrading. If this were a classroom and students behaved as you have, this would be considered bullying for mocking and putting down somebody with differing opinions. And I'm going to take a little extra time. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate you setting the precedent. Because of you, this...
We will ask you to wrap it up.
Okay, I will. I'll be quick. This type of behavior is the last thing I expected to experience here. This matter was reported to the City Council very close to a month ago. Nothing has been done to my knowledge. Since Councilor Stoll isn't here, I'll address it with him in 2 weeks when he returns. But Laura Lessing, will you take the high road tonight and act with integrity and take accountability for your actions? I ask you now, Laura Lessing, not the council, to voluntarily suspend yourself immediately from the council for 1 month for your inappropriate bully behavior. Will you do that?
I'm seriously scared.
Dan.
Amy Caller, does this sound like inclusive and welcoming to you?
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Weeks. I am a longtime resident of Waterville. I agree with Ms. Lessling that, I'm sorry, Ward 1. Ward 1. I agree with her that Waterville is a disgrace right now. And what has happened, we've become a three-ring circus around here. I'm hoping that someone like Sean Hannity will pick up on this, this circus that's going on. When Mayor LePage was here, he left with a very healthy rainy day fund. And his last parting words were, use the money wisely. Do not spend it. Within 4 months, that money was gone. When he was here, our taxes decreased every year. It wasn't until our current mayor, who understands fiscal responsibility, that at least he's trying to rein it in. In our neighborhood, we have a family that has lived in that neighborhood for 40 years. They have their house up for sale right now saying, we cannot tolerate more tax increases. And that is so true. But what a disgrace it is. Mayor Isgro is a man of ethics, fiscal knowledge, a person of character along with his family. And then for this octopus to come out and try to ruin a man, taking his livelihood away. It is despicable, yes. Just like what happened to Mr. Payne 2 weeks ago, that was despicable too. I do think we need a recall, but I think we need a recall out of 6 out of the 7 counselors on this committee. I just want you to know, Mayor Isgro, we have national prayer chains praying for you and your family.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Anderson. I'm from Ward 5. I'm a 1980 graduate of Waterville High School. My wife is a 1980 graduate of Waterville High School. I have a daughter who's a 2001 graduate, a daughter, a 2003 graduate, and a son who graduated a couple years ago. And this is the 4th city council meeting I think I've been to. Because in all that time, I felt comfortable with what was going on with the city. I didn't keep a close eye on it. But when I see things going on with Colby, I think I got to start looking out because I want to see what this is all about and the direction we're going. So I watched a couple meetings on YouTube, on the video stream. And then a man came around, Mr. Payne, to my house, and he was running for the vacant council seat. So I decided, well, this is the time to go. So I came here last week. Julian Payne had some supporters with him, more than any other candidate, and I saw him stand up and support and ask for the vote, and his vote was canceled. I mean, he was dissed, and I felt dissed too, because it didn't seem like we were heard at all. But anyway, after seeing all this happening last week with the mayor and stuff, I'm just wondering who's going to want to run for council, who's going to want to be sitting up there with you guys. Because if we have to go through this, we have to worry about losing our jobs. If we have to worry about, you know, having bickering and back and forth at each other every week, then, or, you know, getting your name drugged through the paper or through news statewide and possibly even nationwide. So this has just got to stop. I was so disappointed. I was heartbroken last week when I saw that happen. And I hope we can quickly move on from this and start listening to each other. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. My name is Phil Bulfie. I'm from Ward 2. Where's my name here? I don't know about all of you, but I'm tired of fighting. All right. Very tired of it. I'm a young person who moved to the United States. I was 15 years old. I came to Maine and stayed to Maine because of the people. Not because of a party. Not because somebody was a Republican or a Democrat. I stayed here because people showed me that here, people care about each other. And what I see sitting here is not what I would want my daughter to see. I don't think that's what anybody here would want their child to see. There are great things happening in this city. A lot of good things. New museum coming. You know, the Riverwalk project. A big building built downtown. You know, a lot of good things are happening. And for some reason, the only thing that we seem to focus on is the bad stuff. And I really think it should be time to start really thinking about taking politics out of local government. Because before anything, we are not Democrat, Republican, Independent. We are brothers, sisters, uncles, nieces. We are neighbors. And it is time that we have to start looking out for each other and stop the fighting for the good of our people. Thank you.
community notes is finished. I will go on to a disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there any city councilor who feels there is a conflict of interest on the motion tonight? Yes.
I have a conflict of interest with 70-2018, which is the liquor license for Joseph's Spa. I am an employee of Colby College.
The same for me. I'm also an employee of Colby College, and so will not be voting on the liquor license for.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Can I get a motion for
So
the
moved.
approval of the consent
Second.
agenda? All in favor? Unfinished business order 59-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for appropriation for Riverwalk project.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Lessing?
Yes.
Counselor Mayhew?
Yes.
Counselor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor DuPont?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is order 61-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for acceptance of donations for the Riverwalk project.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion, council? Questions? Can I get a roll call?
Yes. Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Lessing?
Yes.
Counselor Mayhew?
Yes.
Counselor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor DuPont?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next ordinance 62-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
Is all in favor?
An ordinance providing for sex offender residency restriction.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion on this? Quite a lengthy discussion at the last meeting. Can I get a roll call, Patty?
Counselor White?
Yes.
Counselor Lessing?
Yes.
Counselor Mayhew?
Yes.
Counselor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Counselor Tate?
Yes.
Counselor DuPont?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Next is, we're moving on to new business. I have resolution 65-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for issuance of a liquor license to Pete's Pig Southern Barbecue LLC.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor? Resolution 66-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for issuance of a victualer's license to Peter Clark doing business as Pete's Pig Southern Barbecue LLC.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Resolution 67-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for authorizing issuance of a secondhand license to Benjamin Maine doing business as Black Cape Comics.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor? Resolution 68-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for issuance of a liquor license to Holy Cannoli Incorporated.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Are you open after the meeting?
You sat through this, for all of that?
Plus great lasagna.
Yeah. Yes, you do. All right, so we'll get to the next one, Resolution 69-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
A resolution providing for issuance of a victualer's license to Holy Cannoli Incorporated.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, Candace.
Yeah. Why wait?
Moving to Resolution 70-2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
And I swear that's the
A
last one I'll
resolution
remove.
providing for renewal of a special amusement license to the president and trustees of Colby College doing business as the Joseph Family Spa.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
2 abstentions, yeah.
Next is Order 71-2018.
An order providing for funding for Business and Career Center at the Waterville Public Library. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the sum of $25,000 be appropriated from the downtown TIF account to support the Business and Career Service Office at the Public Library for the 2018-19 budget year.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? More good things happening at the library. All right, all in favor? Thank you. Next is Order 72, 2018.
An order providing for appropriation of funds to replace airport equipment truck. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the city manager be authorized to expend funds placed in the airport business park reserve account to replace a damaged airport utility truck.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there a discussion? All in favor? Order 73, 2018.
Move to read by title only.
Second.
All in favor?
An order providing for approval of forfeiture.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there a discussion? All in favor? Next is, Patty, I have order blank 2018, improvements to city parking lot.
Well, that would be at order 74.
I have,
No, it is blank. Yeah.
oh, okay, oh, it's on here. So order 74, 2018.
An order providing for improvements to city parking lot. Be it hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the sum of $40,000 from the Lockwood Mills TIF account be made available for paving and other improvements to the former Eldon Inn lot to create additional downtown parking.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Mike, tell us about the parking.
Yes, well, we need this parking area desperately, I think, and it's a parcel the city has owned for many, many years. It's across Main Street from where Mainly Brews is. It's hidden in back of the nail place, hair place, and the city acquired that lot back 20 years ago, probably. It's been a gravel parking area, but not really improved. What we want to do is pave it and light it and make it available. I did want to point out the map that went with your agenda shows 24 spaces. I don't think we're going to be able to get that many there. We're going to get as many as we can. But I also wanted to make people aware that there are 6 reserved spaces in back of the building. The owner of the building, in his deed, has a right for 6 spaces back there, 6 or 8. Anyway, we'll make sure of that. Those will be included in the parking area, but they are reserved.
Is that currently being used for parking, Mike?
It is somewhat being used, yeah, but I'm not sure people know it's there. There is no lighting, so I think with lighting, pavement, probably a fence too, it'll be a lot more used.
Good.
And we do have the funds in that Lockwood Hathaway TIF available to do this. So, are there any questions? Good.
Is there any questions from the public?
Who's doing the paving? We may bid that out, or we may use the bidder that we've already chosen to do our road paving. All depends if they want to do a small job like that. So, not really sure at this point.
Not a question.
Question?
Yeah, if you considered opening the parking area that's now, I believe, city employee parking around City Hall to give, well, basically the people that pay all those salaries in City Hall better access to the downtown area.
Yes.
I walked from, that lower parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
It probably took me about a minute. It's about 100 steps. There's a back door. Doesn't seem like much a burden. And I know every retail business owner wouldn't allow their employees to park at the front door of their retail establishment. I think that would be a great way for the city to, show that it's doing everything it can to help downtown parking.
You make a very good argument. We've talked about doing that, and that is going to happen. Yep. How soon? I'm not sure, but it is going to happen.
Mike, does that figure include lighting?
The $40,000 includes lighting. Yep. Which I think is very important for that back.
I don't think a lot of people would not park there.
Would not park there.
Right.
Mike, does the 24 spots include the 6 reserved?
Well, it was laid out really on paper without having accurate survey measurements, so I'm hoping we can get a total of 24, including the 6. Anything else? Yes?
When the pavers are on their way to the parking lot, can they come by Edgewood Street and do my road?
I'll look into that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Great.
Yeah, we got some roads that need to be done. Thank you. Yeah.
Great.
Yours is one of them.
Yes.
All right, we're ready for a vote. All in favor? Great. Next is, all right, our numbering's a little out of order here.
It is, it's now on 75.
Yeah, Resolution 75, 2018.
A resolution providing for a relocation of Taconic sculpture. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the sum of $15,000 in remaining funds from the Public Works Equipment account be used to relocate the Taconic sculpture from its present location in the concourse to Hedda Falls as part of the Riverwalk project, and to further authorize the city manager to hire Cody Crane Company to assist the Public Works crew with this project.
So, I'll move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion.
So Mike, how come Public Works can't dig that thing up and throw it in the back of a pickup truck?
A dump truck.
You know, a dump truck.
Yeah. It's kind of heavy.
Well, yeah, I figured, but.
Yeah.
Save some
It's got a granite base, and the granite base is set in concrete.
Oh, all right.
So there's no way we could get that out of the ground without a crane.
We're gonna miss that thing.
Yeah, I want it.
We love to hate it, but it's just.
Is there anybody here against the idea of moving?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
I think this is a unifying.
But it's going to be a chore moving it because it was set in the ground in '97. I think I got help from Amy Calder with some of the articles from back then. And so not a lot of people around that remember how it was placed in the ground. So we've got to excavate around it on Thursday. So the road, by the way, through the concourse will be closed for us to do that examination, just how deep it is, how difficult is it for the crane to lift it out, and then we have to have a hole ready for it to go into.
And you'll give plenty of notice to the businesses, the doctor's offices, and everything.
We will.
Okay.
Yeah. First, questions from the council, and then anyone else from the council? Yes, go ahead.
I could not hear where the money was coming from.
The money is coming from a surplus within our Public Works Department account, equipment account at Public Works. We bought pieces of equipment for less than what we had budgeted, so we have money in that account. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I actually think the blessed thing's cursed because, just an observation, but the mayor that put it in got recalled.
Yeah.
Leave it, just leave it where it is, or put it in your backyard.
Maybe I could get recalled.
I don't know. Ask Ruth Joseph if she wants it.
All right, yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I didn't hear how much money in total is going to be used to move it.
Well, we're asking for $15,000 to be set aside, but I'm really hoping the total cost is going to be closer to 10 than 15. Pretty hard to estimate. Just how long will it take to pull it up?
And it's going from the concourse down to the new Riverwalk.
Right, I don't know how many people are going to be able to see this, but for those of you that can, this is a picture of the Riverwalk upside down. Whoops. There we go. Okay. The river being here, Front Street here. The Riverwalk starts at the existing plaza here, comes down. There's a gazebo at this southern end of the Riverwalk, and then it goes along the river. And the Taconic sculpture is going to sit right in this corner, right next to where the amphitheater is. So, you know, I think for the first time since it's been put in, people are actually going to be able to stop and look at it.
Yeah, you couldn't enjoy it.
Well, and read the story, because we intend to put a plaque on the sculpture explaining what it means. It talks about the past, present, and future of the city. And when you're going through the concourse, not many people stop their vehicle to look. So I think it's going to be enjoyed much more.
Good.
And I want to thank Amy at the Sentinel for the article last week that described a lot about the sculpture.
Good. All right, and I think long-term, ultimately, if we rearrange the concourse, we could probably get about 90 to 100 parking spots additional compared to how it's now. So I think this is an important first step to replacing a lot of the parking that's been lost due to the student residence hall, so, which is important as well.
There's some questions about that.
Oh, question, sir.
Mike, quick question. Did they decide, how did they decide on putting in the river walk? I mean, on the river walk, I understand that it's a piece of political history, but it's something that's very shiny and modern. And
Right.
putting it down in something that's gonna be natural, green, pavers.
There was a
Is it
Riverwalk.
really gonna fit?
There was a Riverwalk committee that's been meeting, I think, over the past year and a half.
And they decided that
And I believe that was part of the plan.
best in a natural
Yeah,
setting?
Yeah, we went over a number of options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
They worked
Right.
with the, there were a number of the designers of the plan that have kind of a very, I think, elaborate and beautiful idea of what it could be down there, and they were careful to incorporate it in a way that would not be jarring, I think. And I know those plans are available if people want to consult them.
Yeah, yes, sir.
We are gonna spend 10 to 15,000 to move this. What's the result, and sorry for my lack of speech, of the concourse now in the application? Is that gonna be straight through that, or are you gonna?
Yay! Yes. No. Thank God. Well, we're not going to have anything there that a truck is going to get stuck on, so you're right. Thank you. But we still want it, the circle to be somewhat maintained so that people slow down a little bit going through. You don't want a straightaway, which is why it was placed there in the first place. So we at least want to keep that circle so people take a little bit more time going through.
As the city thought about actually eliminating the road and creating additional parking spaces at those spots, because there's been concern about limited parking downtown, and I think that consolidating that area and making a parking spot would add some additional spots, as the mayor noted.
You bulldoze a few of those curbs, you can have a lot of parking, I can promise you.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
As the mayor mentioned, that's something I think that we've got to take a comprehensive look at, is the entire design. But taking this thing out is a good first step.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right, take a vote. All in favor? Next is Order 76, 2018.
An order providing for acceptance of grant award Alphon Pool. Be hereby ordered by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers that the city gratefully accepts a grant award of $570,000 from the Harold Alphon Foundation for the purpose of making repairs at the city's Alphon Municipal Pool. And be it further ordered that the city manager be authorized to expend said funds and also to expend funds from the city's pool reserve account to complete phase 1 of the pool repair project.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Is there discussion? All in favor? Next up is Resolution 77, 2018.
A resolution providing for a statement of community values. Be it resolved by the Waterville City Council acting as municipal officers as follows. That the future of our city is bright as we affirm that Waterville is a forward-thinking, innovative, inclusive, cultural hub in which all people, no matter their age, race, creed, or age, are considered equal and free, welcomed, and respected. We further believe and affirm that diversity is a strength and not a weakness.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Next, Mayor. We're gonna have council discussion for the council to offer their thoughts in this matter. I've made my thoughts very public on this matter. Then we will turn it over to the public to come up and give their statements on the matter as well, and there'll be a vote. So there will be an opportunity afforded for the public if they have discussion. Yes, Councilor Mackey.
Yeah, I'd like to address the council on this resolution regarding this statement of community values proposed by City Council Lauren Lessing. I stand categorically in line with most of the message of affirmation as written within this particular resolution. What I am vehemently opposed to is the highly inappropriate timing of this resolution, and that it is an unnecessary statement within the context of a highly polarized and publicized situation in which our City Council has conducted itself. In controversial areas of inherent fairness, intensity, and thought in regards to overwhelming residential sentiment. The Ward 5 election process was a prime example of this, in that residents overwhelmingly were subjected and rejected by their own popular voice. I additionally want to show respect to my fellow councilor, John O'Donnell, who has been a longtime colleague, and this was of no fault to his own. But now we find ourselves in a recall process. Strike one to this resolution. We are also aware of the mayor's predicament regarding a tweet that was and is inherently still under investigation as far as its reporting is concerned, and the merits of its true intent during an impassioned debate regarding national Second Amendment rights under our Constitution. Many are offended by it, others emboldened to defend First Amendment rights and personal time within the framework of one's family dynamic. The mayor has taken a stand on this under his own authority and privilege to do so. What is not being reported as well was the behavior of Mr. Hogg himself during this debate, as there were profanity-laced statements exhibited on his behalf in this ongoing debate on the national stage.
Hear, hear.
This I shared with some of my fellow constituents upon email feedback, and I personally went to their homes to explain it to them. Now we find ourselves in a recall of our Mayor Strike 2. I believe that there are broad, definitive, and deep earthquake faults of partisanship ideologies in play here, beginning at the national level and permeating now the local levels of municipal government on a scale unprecedented in our national history. It is my belief that the national debates as of recent and the many furors that have been polarized on down have contributed to deep lines of partisanship on an ever dangerous increasing scale. Residents need to feel inclusive by the actions and words of their own individual councilors. It's what they have entrusted of us to do as we take our oaths of office. Walking the walk is imperative upon all of us to do independently within our consciousness and minds to put the residential majority voices first and foremost before any and all of our personal opinions. Failure to do so opens each of us to intense scrutiny and ballot box action within the next election. My establishment with my constituency is getting out there on a personal nature to listen and understand them by applying my bare knuckles to door frames and pressing doorbells. There is an epidemic disconnection from representation of one's constituency regarding this very important distinction and evaluation of one's performance and true credibility. I want to emphasize that we serve at the pleasure of our constituency. Their views and values always supersede our own personal opinion and perceptions. They are the CEOs of our titles to office, and we can be fired at any time. Personally, I enjoy working across the aisle with my fellow councilors. My track record proves that in its own legitimacy and many committees that I am on, and of recently the infamous Housing Committee and the very ever-successful Sex Offender Residency Committee, where I worked in conjunction with both councilors, Jackie DuPont and Nathaniel White. That was an astounding success in passing a much-needed resolution and order. I call for, during this time, healing and honest perspective of what it is at hand and what our current situation is first before proposing an indoctrination of values when so much is an undeniable question at this time. Forums of dialogue and discussion should be formed and deep-seated partisanship demolished to provide the competent and valued representation our Waterville residents are not only asking for, but openly demanding as well. I categorically and honestly believe this statement of affirmation should be tabled to a future date to be determined, that past, present, and future situations be resolved democratically, and that this council take an aggressive, proactive path towards resolving some of these deep-seated political divisions and perceived personal agendas that do nothing but wreak misrepresentation of our constituencies. Let's not be Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, or Republican, but let us be, like a good neighbor, I commit to listening with empathy, processing the majority voice, and representing that constituent voice with actions becoming of our office. That was strike 3. Thank you, and God bless this community and all wards.
May I speak?
Of course.
I like working with you too, Councilor Mayhew. I would just say, you know, anger and dissension, those are loud. And kindness and love speak with softer voices. And I think building off what Phil Bofia so beautifully said, very recently, we need more kindness and we need more love in this community to bring us all together. I'm not interested in division. I think we need unity. And this resolution is intended to pull us together around values that I know we share because I benefited from them when I came here 11 years ago, and I continue to benefit from them today. I believe in kindness and I believe in love, and I believe that Waterville is a warm community with everything in front of it. And I want people all over the world to know that. That's what I want this resolution to do.
I think this council needs to walk the walk before they talk the talk. This is political posturing, taking advantage of a situation. It is political posturing, and that's what it is. We have, in this community, 60% of our children who are on at least free and reduced lunch. We've had a council try to hijack. 80%. Then that's even a bigger problem. We have had an attempted hijack of our rental properties. We have had a whole host of issues. We have the police chief battling an opioid epidemic. And so in the midst of Councilor Lessing attacking me on TV and in the newspapers, she brings this up.
I'm sorry, I never
I'm
attacked
talking
you on
here.
TV.
I'm talking. This is political posturing. I do not believe this council believes in inclusiveness when it comes to people's thoughts, when it comes to how people view things. I believe you have to not just be inclusive. There is some beauty in the statement, and I agree with that.
I'm glad.
But unfortunately, I don't think. Have you guys all felt super welcomed by this council?
Never. No. Never. No.
Okay.
No.
Thank
Yes.
you.
No.
I felt quite welcome.
Okay. Thank
What
you.
does it have to do with the council? Doesn't it have more to do with the city?
I would like to speak in support of the resolution. I've heard overwhelmingly from my constituents in Ward 6, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, that they feel like they agree that this is a concerning time with divisiveness and dissension, but the opportunity to affirm our values that we share, that we can come together and say that we are a welcoming community that affirm diversity, is very important to them. So I feel confident that I am representing my constituents in supporting this resolution.
Is there any other discussion? That was a motion? All right, so Councilor Mayhew has made a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? 2 in favor to table, 4 opposed to table. Now we will take I guess we had said that we would allow the community to get up, whether you're for or against, whatever you have to say. Now's the time. Please try to keep it to a couple minutes. Patty has the timer, and we'll hear what you have to say. What?
No, that was a table.
That was a motion to table. So now there'll be discussion, and then there'll be a vote to pass, which...
Julian Payne, I agree with Phil Bofia's speech. Everyone does. But when you file a recall on a mayor, you have essentially turned the community neighbor against neighbor. Okay? Now, I wanted peace and quiet. I was at home minding my own business for once. And the next thing I know, there's a mayor recall. Okay? You don't do that without people jumping up and down. Battles have been drawn, and battles will be fought over this. Make no mistake. So, it was just last year that Council proposed a bill to limit duration of community notes, a total assault on American democracy. It was one of the darkest days in the history of Waterville. And interestingly enough, the very lady that likes the most time was motioning for residents to be only able to talk for 2 minutes. Well, they're back for round 2. Calculating and underhanded, the council have the toughest time sticking to the guidelines set forth in this affirmation. So I have an affirmation. What's going on? And I've seen it over 3 years here. So I'm going to read what the people really think. The future of our city, if we affirm that Waterville is a forward-thinking, innovative, inclusive cultural hub in which all people, no matter their race, creed, or age, are considered equal and feel welcome and respected, so long as their views are found to be in line with the council's. We further believe and affirm that diversity is a strength and not a weakness unless we disagree with you. Whereas the council strives for like-minded councillors who can differ within the same ideology. No, it's 2. I was told 3, so. Whereas all people are created equal, just some more equal than others. Whereas the city council has the right to modify, add, or amend speech at meetings if deemed uncivil, divisive, or out of step with the council's vision for Waterville. Whereas the city council has purchased the Morning Sentinel and will prohibit the recordings of these meetings. Whereas if residents are deemed belligerent, it is permitted for councillors to laugh, roll their eyes, and mock them. Whereas the council has removed Mike Roy from managing the police department, and the council will be taking it over. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sandy Sullivan. I'm a resident of Ward 5. If this resolution weren't so pathetic, it would be laughable. I have been coming to the council meetings and the budget meetings for the last 3 years. I have never felt valued. I have never felt welcomed. I have felt made fun of. I have watched the councilors roll their eyes as we, the people, speak. I have been told by Jackie DuPont that I was threatening her because I made the suggestion that she needed to be replaced. I'm 72 years old, 5 foot tall, overweight, with a pacemaker, but she's afraid of me because I suggest she needs to be replaced. This is so far from reality that what a council should be. I am ashamed that someone would even think that they should propose it. And finally, I'm sure the mayor and his wife also feel very welcome by the council. Thank you.
Gary Mayor, Ward 5. Our Constitution is under attack by the Waterville City Council. Councilor Lessing introduced a resolution attacking First Amendment rights of the citizens of Waterville. Lessing's resolution was to suppress the diversity of opinions by attacking free speech. Her anti-diversity resolution was so extreme, the attending city attorney said it was illegal. I'm asking the residents of Waterville to recognize the council's hypocrisy and long history of oppressing diversity. Their recent appointment of John O'Donnell, who had zero support, is testament. The council wanted someone like-minded, not someone of diverse nature, who packed the council chambers with supporters, brought in 130 signatures and 30 emails of support. Diversity was shunned by the council. Before this resolution goes any further, I ask the council to denounce Councilor Lessing's recent offensive statement against right-wing Trump supporters, which are about 51% of the population, according to a recent Rasmussen poll. Vilifying Trump supporters and members of our community because of our diversity of opinions, then proclaiming you support diversity, is the biggest bunch of hypocrisy exhibited by this council.
Actually, I was misquoted about that.
I also ask the council to denounce the offensive attacks made by the council members when their words of hate referenced residents as belligerent and businesses as slumlords, tarnishing the reputation of a local business. If this council is unable to denounce the hate from their own hearts, then who are they to proclaim we are a diverse and inclusive city when the council's suppressive and intolerant actions prove otherwise? Thank you.
Hank Poirier, Ward 4. Sydney, that was great. Where was that? I've been looking for that for 3 years. That was fantastic. It's so true. At a minute, folks, give us some time. Let the city heal. I'm just asking you. Just let the city heal. It's hot on a lot of issues. Let the city heal. The term outraged that I used earlier is subjective. The terms that you saw in here, they're great, soft-spoken words. We don't have to yell. We don't have to. Sounds great, doesn't it? Unfortunately, what is that? Is that like a mission statement? Because if that's the case, there's a lot of us that need to fall in line. And my outrage shouldn't be pushed to the back. My feelings shouldn't be pushed to the back. If you include soft talk, Councilor Lessing, you said, nice, that's right. Love trumps hate, no question. We want to do that. But you can't be selective on who's being nice, my feelings could be hurt. My feelings were hurt when the mayor didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance. So, would that be something that we look at? Is that, do you understand what I'm saying? It's just that it's relative and it's subjective and it just needs to be truthful. You can use all the fluff you want, but we can't cover up what's really going on.
Do you agree with the statement? I'm asking.
I do, but I don't think didn't think it's descriptive of what's truly happening. So, if there's a commitment from all the councilors that the people that wanted to help Julian get that seat, do you think that they were not hurt? Could they be outraged? Could they be offended?
I don't.
So and I understand this too. On a national level, there was people that got together with a local church and decided to march down Mayflower Hill. So when that was happening, I can't use Mayflower Hill. I can't come from my home on First Rangeway down Mayflower Hill. So I was outraged. And I also feel that Waterville is not an issue when it comes to that. Waterville, we don't have a problem. And for them to come down here and to get in front of and talk about conservatives, talk about Americans that we're somehow racist, we're not that bad in Waterville. Our police, we have a fine police force. They don't pick on anybody. They're a great police department. And so it's all. You see how this all comes together. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
But I'm trying to say
Don't you feel? Don't.
see.
Well, okay, but I
Yeah.
just want. Then the other side.
Right.
The other side for the Second Amendment, the whole hog thing. Me being a conservative, me being a Second Right Amendment person. I'm offended. I'm offended by what he said. So your flavor of speech, your flavor of outrage and all these things, let's make them align. And I think we need some time to get them to align, because I certainly respect it and I want that. I think what a great unifying statement. But we better all have this. Let's just get on the same page. Let's have a little more time to heal.
Thank you, Hank.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I think it's a wonderful statement. I just wish it was sincere. And I was hoping that there would be an EMT here today. I was worried about you with your eyes rolling back so far. I was hoping that if something happened, you'd be taken care of. But politics, I know a lot of people here today have asked, and they hope that politics wouldn't play a part in this room, but they do. And the political playbook from the left is never cease to take advantage of a crisis. And that's exactly what's taking place with this request. It's a farce. So, you know, really the message is bullying. The message is no respect for the people in this room, and the message is no accountability. I know Amy Calder put an article in the paper about, you know, Councilor Lessing, wanting more inclusiveness and welcoming in this room, but you don't do that for people. And so I hope that there's a follow-up article to that, echoing the people's voices, Amy. And I've always heard that liberals are the most intolerant, tolerant people, and you have proved that.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Leonard. I've clapped for nobody tonight, and I'm just sitting there knitting. But I want to just say I want to thank Lauren for at least offering a way forward. The only person I've heard speak about love tonight was Lauren. There's been a lot of talk about fighting and battles and disrespect and so on, but really the only person who I heard speak about love was Lauren, and I want to thank you for introducing that concept into the room. And the only people I've heard sitting there knitting quietly be mocking and unkind are people who wanted to attack Lauren and what she's tried to suggest here tonight. And I felt,
No,
please
excuse
don't
me, order.
interrupt. And the people who keep interrupting are people who are attacking that point of view. And I've been sitting there feeling extremely uncomfortable because people are very loudly mocking and laughing and clapping around me. And I've clapped for no one because I thought I better not indicate any point of view. But I do thank you, Lauren, for introducing the concept of love into this meeting tonight.
I want to thank you, Elizabeth, and I want to actually say that in my opinion, Phil did too. Yeah, Phil also spoke of love, maybe not in that exact term, but he absolutely did. Yeah.
I think we're ready for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. And, excuse me, order. Mike, we had no community notes. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Right.